Welcome back to Evolve. I am Kalani Das, your host and teacher, and I'm excited to speak with you. I want to thank you for joining me on the Evolve channel and the Evolve podcast. In recent months, we've all been faced with new challenges, and it's brought a lot to the forefront. So today I want to talk about loss, and I want to talk about gains. We've all experienced some loss lately. I think I can speak for all of us when I say many of us have been faced with loss of income, loss of opportunities, loss of travel, loss of work, and maybe most tragically, loss of friends, family, loved ones, loss of life. And so first of all, I'd like to say that if you've been dealing with any of that I wish you well. And that whatever you're feeling as a result of any loss is okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry even. It's all part of the healing process, or the mourning process. So give yourselves permission, love yourself, be understanding of yourself. Don't feel guilty for feeling any emotions that you feel over any loss that you have, and give others the same compassion and space to feel what they need to feel to heal. So I want to raise the question now because when we experience lots of change and potential loss, it does raise the question, what do we value most in our lives? What really is most important? And I'm just going to talk about some of my own experiences because that's really all I can talk about with any degree of authority. It raises the question for me, what is important? What's the most important? Now, I personally have experienced some loss of income, loss of, opportunities of travel. I had a lot of trips canceled, a lot of events canceled. Fortunately, I have online work that I do, and I can continue to have some income and some activity because I am self-employed. Many people are not. Some people are still employed, which is great. But for me, I've actually been experiencing a lot of beauty around my home and around my family, and also some challenges. And I've had a lot of time to reflect and put into practice some of the strategies and practices that I teach. And that's always a good thing, to be able to walk your talk. And that brings me to the topic of material wealth, having, earning, versus spiritual wealth. And if you haven't heard that term, just imagine like you bank wealth, right? You bank monetary wealth. Well, you also bank health throughout your life by staying fit, working out, eating well, exercising. You also can bank, if you will, spiritual wealth and be spiritually healthy and wealthy as you get older. The late Wayne Dyer talked about what he called the shift. And there's a short documentary about this with the same title that I invite you to look up, where he talked about once people reach the age of 50 or thereabouts, they tend to shift away from the material pursuits towards more spiritual pursuits. They're realizing that there's a transition they need to make away from the striving, achieving, earning, because our earning years are between 25 and 65 usually. But around 50, something shifts and we want more satisfaction. We want more peace. We want more comfort and security, not in a material way, but in more of a spiritual way. We want to be spiritually fulfilled. Sometimes that manifests in what has come to be known as a midlife crisis. But whatever label you put on it is not important. What's important is, how do we get there? How do we make that shift? And something that's worked for me recently, and I've been very lucky as a musician primarily in my life, and as a music therapist and teacher, and somebody who's been self-employed forever, basically, I make a living, I have enough, and I finally realized that I can stop focusing so much on material gains and focus more on what I'm really passionate about, which is more of spiritual gains, mindfulness gains, because like the capacity to earn, like making money, like creating monetary wealth, you also need to work at and practice and cultivate spiritual wealth. So, and I'm not saying, I want to be clear, I'm not saying that I couldn't earn more or that if I earned more, I wouldn't find something to spend it on. But what I am saying is I got to the point in my life where I could say, I have enough. I'm okay. And I think that's an important first step because, when you watch television or you read magazines or you even talk to people, there's this constant sort of pressure to get more, right? To earn more, to do more, to be more popular, to have more likes, more clicks, more fans, more. And those are all material things. But the question really is, do you have enough? Because if you have enough, then you can make the shift. If you truly don't have a shelter, clothing, enough food to eat daily, and some sort of social support system, then you need to focus on developing those things. But if you do have those things, and I think most of you who are watching this probably do, because you're watching this on what? A smartphone or a tablet or a computer. You're probably inside, you're comfortable, you're okay. So own that okayness, own the fact that you have enough. And once you can do that, it relieves you of all that pressure to add another zero to whatever number you see when you look in your account, in your bank account. If you're fortunate enough to have a bank account. But really, if you add another 0 or 2 or 3 zeros to whatever number is in your bank account, you're still just adding zeros. Do you really need to do that? Sure, you could find something to spend the money on, but at what cost? At what real cost? At what spiritual cost? Because there is an opportunity cost because you can't do everything. So for me, and I'm not saying anybody should do this, I'm just saying what works for me and sharing it with you because I think it's a good thing, is I've come to the point where I can honestly say, you know what, I'm okay, I have enough. I'm just going to keep my financials kind of running in the same direction, and that should be fine. Yes, it may go up and down a little bit here and there, but really it should be okay. Even if I had more loss, I'd still be okay. Because what's more important to me is making sure that I have some spiritual wealth built up that I can spend and use and enjoy as I move into my 60s and 70s and 80s and hopefully 90s. So if you put off building spiritual wealth and go after the material wealth, okay, fine. But we know from observing our fellow men and women in society that doesn't necessarily lead to what we call happiness or contentment. It could, but it doesn't necessarily. So what does necessarily? What can you do? Well, you can start employing many of the spiritual wellness practices that we have available to us. And there's an abundance, right? From formalized religions, which there are many to choose from, to what we call spiritual practices, from yoga or Buddhism, meditation, all sorts of, the whole self-help world, if you will. From coaching to retreats and classes. Lots of great information that people are sharing. But here's my message to you, because this is also something that I believe, and I'm just going to assert, and I'm not saying I'm right, I'm saying this is what I believe, is that you can develop your own practices based on your own observations, your own feelings, what's true for you, your own truth, because your life is true for you. Your experiences are yours. You can start to develop your spiritual growth with a simple mindfulness approach to life, just paying attention a little bit more. Spending less time in the past and future, of course, so that you can be grounded and rooted more into the present moment. That's always a good thing. And most importantly, knowing that whoever you are, whatever your background is, wherever you live, however you live, you can do it just like anyone else. That you don't have to know mystical language. You don't have to wear special clothing. You don't have to shave your head. You don't have to live in the mountains or in the desert or near the ocean or in the jungle or any of that. It doesn't matter what clothing you wear. That doesn't matter. That's extra. Those are extras. Those are add-ons. Those are options. What's important is that you do it. You spend the time, you spend the attention in time, noticing beauty. And beauty is in all things, in the smallest things and the biggest things. It's in the sky and it's right down on the ground. Go for a walk, look down, and you're going to find something beautiful. It's also not just visual, but it's all around you. It's in nature. It's in the sounds of life. It's in the feelings and textures of life. Your food, people, clothing, things around you. It's in the sensations of living. And I've talked about how to have a sensational life, right? Which is tuning into your senses and appreciating everything that you can sense. Even if you're missing, or what we say missing, even if you don't have one of the typical senses, or you don't have, or you only have 2 out of whatever there are, 5, I think. Enjoying and savoring everything that you can sense and that you can be aware of and you can experience, because we are experiencing life. We're not thinking about life. We're not imagining life. Life is an experience. How do you experience something? Through your senses, not your imagination. Your imagination is something else. But life is a grounded, physical, human experience. So be there, show up to your life. You're not going to imagine your way into a better life. You could imagine your way out of life, out of your life, spending a lot of time in the future, spending a lot of time in the past, but that's not where your life is, right? So I'm going to wrap up here. But that's my message to you, and my invitation is to develop your spiritual wealth by mining in there a little bit every day. Maybe you can think about mindfulness as in mining goodness, mining spiritual wellness through your mindfulness practice, through kindfulness, which is like mindfulness, but sort of flipped out into society, practicing kindness, kindfulness, and just doing that. It's very simple. It's not complicated and it's not mysterious. So again, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're religious or not religious. Doesn't matter what religion you adopt. You can practice all of these things regardless of whatever else you're doing. But if you don't take some time and start building up slowly, a spiritual practice and building your spiritual wealth, you may not have as much built up. You may not have the capacity developed at the point in your life where you really are going to value that more, and you probably will value it. Even if you're younger and you're watching this, start to bank it now. Start to build your capacity for being spiritually healthy and then spiritually wealthy. And I don't mean wealthy as in you're going to hoard your spirituality. That's not what I mean. I mean just having an abundance, having the sense of that you're okay, that you're comfortable, and that you have a seat in your spiritual life. Whatever that looks like for you. That's all I have for you in this talk. I wish you all well. If you would like to leave some kind and helpful comments in the comment area, please do. And share, of course, it helps to spread this information if you share it. So that's all I ask. We're not trying to make money on this podcast or the YouTube channel. That's not the goal. The goal is to help everyone in society with some good information, some simple information, and some useful information. So if you feel that it could be helpful for others, please share this. Until next time, I'm Kalani Das, wishing you all well and wishing your families and friends abundance and well-being. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.